Currently I'm 30 years old, a working professional, a husband, and a father. My profession is education, a field I've been in for the past 8 years, while achieving my Bachelor's of Science in Education degree in rural Western New York. I needed to save some money for all my expenses during the semesters. My hometown wasn't too far away from campus, less than an hour's drive in fact. During my summers off, I would work at a local pizza restaurant. My hometown was extremely small, one of those types of near ghost towns where everyone knows the business of everyone else. All of those people seem to be related through some obscure second cousin or aunts and uncles. The actual size of a small hometown is measured by the amount of traffic lights that regulate the streets. 2. Mine had 2. Getting this job was an easy task. I knew the owners because one's husband was the basketball coach, and the other was her mother who had owned the place for years and years and years, and remembered the little boy version of me, and ate pizza there with my family. Looking back on all this, I have to say that working there was one of the best jobs I've ever had. The work was fun and the people were more fun. I even looked forward to working double shifts, more opportunities to laugh at mind-numbing adolescent jokes, and the hefty paychecks didn't look bad either. It's funny how my young mind thought a couple $100 in my paycheck made me feel like a millionaire. No taxes or debts to worry about, I guess. 2 small trailer parks gave residents a place to live in this town. Many of these people worked menial jobs or were on welfare. It was pretty obvious when payday came around. On those bi-weekly or monthly Friday nights we were usually hit hard with orders. Sheet pizzas, hoagies, ice cream and sundaes, and pop, all of which were to be delivered. Try to imagine the difficulty of delivering a fresh hot pizza and an ice cold sundae at the same time. I wouldn't even get my hopes up for tips during these days. The trailer park crowd usually wanted every cent of their change back. But I honestly didn't mind the work. Since I was 18 I was able to work deliveries, which I loved. Deliveries gave me a chance to have some quiet time driving around, admiring the natural beauty of my rural upbringing, or to listen to the latest CD I purchased with the windows down. But of course my greedy side liked it the best, since the night always ended with a hefty amount of tips I was able to keep. Straight cash, well except from the trailer park residents. Now being a delivery boy could also be a little scary. I made deliveries to houses where it was obvious the residents were drunk or high. I've delivered to houses with evidence of underage drinking. The local motels were the worst to deliver. Truck drivers with obvious prostitutes, or lot lizards as I understand. Very large biker type men with noticeable knife and gun handles extended from their belts, and even more drunk or high people. But what intrigued me the most was delivering to the trailer parks. As I said before, there were 2 in my hometown, resting on opposite sides. When the owners would answer the door, I had the chance to peek inside. The taxpayers treated those people well, judging by the amount of piercings covering some of their faces, and the large flat-screen televisions hanging on the wall. I even saw a large saltwater tank with exotic fish swimming in one trailer. However, it was during a delivery at one of the trailer parks that has bothered me for several years now. To put it bluntly, this certain delivery gave me the creeps. This day was like any other. Fun at work, making jokes about customers with my co-workers, and trying to keep straight faces while taking orders face to face. I was working deliveries that night, and was looking forward to making a few extra bucks for spending money. I had a handful of order tickets and 2 insulated delivery bags full of hot pizzas. The sweet cheese and spicy pepperoni aroma quickly filled my Chevy Blazer. The first delivery transaction happened with no issue and a nice tip. The second was the same. The third was interrupted by my own clumsiness as I dropped their order of wings, which luckily landed on the underside of the styrofoam container and still wrapped in a plastic bag, and none had fallen out. I feel that was to blame for the skimpy tip. It was dark now, and I had a fourth delivery to finish. But the fourth delivery is one that still lingers in the back of my mind. For the sake of anonymity, and because I simply do not remember, the address is made up, but I was to deliver to 5 Trailer Park Lane, which was one of the trailer parks in my hometown. It took me a while to find the place, but eventually the small reflective 5 sticker was illuminated by my headlights. I parked in the lot, noticing there were no other vehicles. There were no lights on at all in this trailer, which was odd, especially those expecting me often left on a courteous porch light. I knocked 3 separate times on the door, when finally the shadowy figure of an old woman came into focus through the fox-etched glass window. The deadbolt slid open, as did the door, revealing an elderly woman, dressed head to toe in a faded green sweatsuit. She looked confused. Again, for the sake of anonymity and my lack of clarity, the name is made up, and the conversation, although not entirely accurate, went like this. "Hello, here is your delivery," I said. "Delivery?" the confused woman responded. "This is 5 Trailer Park Lane?" "Yes, but I didn't order any pizza." At this moment I thought a prank had been pulled, and I fell for it, but I decided to probe a little further. I looked down at the order ticket. "Are you Mary?" I asked. At this moment, the woman's face went from confused to complete terror. "Who did you ask I was?" she asked. "Mary." "Mary? Mary died 5 years ago." At this point I think my face took on her lost, confused characteristic. I decided that something was wrong, and that I should go back to the restaurant to work it out. "I'm sorry, ma'am. There must have been some kind of mistake. My apologies," I said. She responded with a weary nod and slowly shut the door. I heard the deadbolt slide back into place as I descended the stairs. I drove back to the restaurant in silence. Once there, I told my bosses about the interaction I just had. Of course they thought I was kidding and laughed it off. It wasn't until after my consistence that they believed me. Their advice was that this woman may have been a sufferer of dementia, and perhaps ordered the pizza and forgot. We were to place the pizza on the oven in case the woman called back. If not, we would eat it while we cleaned up. This was not the first time this had happened to me, so this logic somewhat settled my nerves. 10 o'clock finally came around, which meant closing time. We decided to open up the forgotten pizza and enjoy a couple of slices as we cleaned up. After an hour of sweeping, mopping, taking out the trash, wiping down tables and carrying out trays, I let out a sigh of relief as I counted the money in my delivery bag. I was satisfied with the night's tips. I had only 1 ticket in the discard pile, the slip for this Mary in the trailer park. I had almost forgotten about my strange encounter and was now intrigued. After clocking out, I sat in my car deciding whether or not to swing by the trailer park to check on the woman. Maybe she lived alone. It was close to 11:15 by the time I got there. I found the reflective 5 on the end of the trailer and again parked in the lot. I left my keys in the ignition, in case I needed to leave in a hurry. I've never dealt with a person suffering from dementia, and I did not want to take any chances. Again, there were no lights on in the trailer. However, there was something that caught my eye that I didn't see before. A bright yellow sign was stuck to the window of the front door. Maybe I didn't notice it when I was there earlier. As I approached the front door, I noticed what was written on the sign, in large bold print, "Eviction." It wasn't until then I noticed the padlock attached to the door, which I knew wasn't there before. Looking closely at the sign on the door, I see that the eviction notice detailed that the eviction took place 5 years prior. Luckily I had the discarded delivery ticket in my pocket. With my loose dollar bills, we usually write the phone number of the delivery on the ticket. When the order is placed, in case of any confusion during the delivery, I took my cell and with a shaking thumb punched in every digit. In the quiet evening air, I could hear every digit's tone pierce through the night straight to my eardrum. After pushing send, I slowly raised the phone to my ear and waiting, nothing. then 3 familiar tones in the hollow automated voice informing me this number had either been disconnected or was out of service. At that moment everything came into perspective, a black and hopeless clarity, that from this trailer, the woman I know I saw at this trailer told me that Mary died 5 years ago, and this eviction took place 5 years ago. The phone from which the order was placed was no longer in service. Who ordered that pizza? Even more frightening, who answered that door?